What's up and welcome back to the channel. I'm George. This is the Model Railroad Show, and in today's video we are going to show you some freshly unboxed 3D prints from Whistle Stop Models. They look pretty good. Alright, what's up? Welcome back. I'm George. This is the Model Railroad Show. John from Whistle Stop Models happened to reach out and said, hey, would you like to take a look at some of the prints that I have? And I said absolutely. All it took for me was to look at the website and I was on board. These prints look really good. They're 3D resin prints. They are an N scale. All right, a little bit about Whistle Stop Models. I mean, like so many people, small business getting going. 3D resin printing. He's printing in HO, N, a little bit of O. He does some T-gauge bridges, which is really nichey. But the T-gauge bridges look amazing. And he's doing Z-scale. So as N-scalers, especially if you're a Z-scaler, you're always looking for products that kind of fit on your layout, those details to enhance your layout. I have Milford Coal and Lumber, and I knew when I decided to model this industry in N-scale that it was probably going to be a little bit of an issue to really complete a scene like this, and Whistle Stop Models is really going to help me get that done with some of these prints. All right, so let's take a look at the vehicles first. I mean, as you know, N-scale vehicles, kind of hard to come by, especially like early N-scale, like in the 50s. When I say early, in the 50s. Modern N-scale stuff I feel like is much easier, but the people who model that might disagree with me. All right, so first thing we're looking at, again, resin prints. This is the 51 Chevy pickup. These come in pairs. All right, and they look really good. They're stake side. Okay, the width of the stakes in the back is to scale, so they're not like chunky. That's a lot of times what you'll see in these small models. And they do have mirrors, some interior detail. There's a steering wheel in there. The bench seat is in there. And when I finish this model out, I will have a windshield in there as well, believe you me. All right. One of the things, when you look at some of the vehicles, when you look at them, when the light hits them, because this is resin and shiny, you can see some 3D, some of the layer lines. Don't be discouraged. You really can't feel them, even though you can see them in the resin. And once there's paint on that, you're never going to see any of these 3D lines. The definition here of the print is really good compared to some stuff that I have seen. All right. Next up here, the 32 Ford. All right, 32 Ford sedan. One of the coolest hot rods out there is the 32 Ford. And again, I am in the early 50s, so might be a little late for me. However, I'm sure they were still on the road. Some of them are still on the road today, as we know. Great detail in this model. 32 Ford, challenging model to print because of these fenders and how these swooping fenders are, and they are nice and thin, and they're cut. And really, Whistle Stop did a good job. Those fenders are nice and thin. The iconic headlight bar detail is there. All right, and the rear window detail is there. And also, if you look real close, if you know anything about 32 Fords, they had this like black cloth top on top of them, right? This was like a vinyl kind of top there. And he has the detail for that. So I may actually be able to paint that out when I finish these models. It's something very subtle that most people who don't know the car may not even notice. And these things are printed. They're still on their print base here. Very, very cool. Great detail. Door handle details in there. And I think once you paint this and you give this a little bit of a wash, you're going to see all of that detail come out. All right, continuing on with the vehicles. 57 Fords. Very, very cool pickup. Again, good detail on this pickup. One of the cool things that when you look at this, I mean, not only is the grille detail there, which is great, but on the pickup bed, the tailgate is nice and thin. And that is something so often on vehicles, when you get into these smaller scales, you see is out of scale because it's thick and chunky. So I like the fact that that tailgate is nice and thin. And you can even see in the Ford beds used to have this like up and this kind of a flare over, and that detail is in there as well. So very, very neat. Tail lights are there. Should be able to get a dab of paint on those tail lights. These models should finish really, really good. Even has a mirror. Looking good. Running boards. Great detail there. All right, so that's the vehicles. I'm also, as we're going through this, if you go to Whistle Stop Models after this video and you use coupon TMRS, so TMRS coupon, I'll put that right here, you'll get 10% off of your order until the end of 2025. All right, so little nugget here in the video, and a little thank you for watching, and a thank you from Whistle Stop Models to go over there and buy a couple of these prints because they look really, really cool. All right, as you know, I'm finishing, a lumber dealer, and with lumber comes wood. Here are some extra stacks of lumber that he printed out. This is really cool, offered on the website. At first glance, it just looks like the same kind of wood printed over and over again. But when you actually look at the detail on the ends, each one of these is a different dimensional lumber. So we've got some 4x4s in the end. It looks like some straight up 2x4s on the opposite end. And then we've got some different size boards in the middle, all the same length. Probably in end scale, I would say they're about probably 10 footers. Very cool. They're still in the printed rack as you see them, which for me is going to be very handy because they are going to go in a lumber shed. I'm going to have to paint one side of them. I'm going to leave them right in this rack to paint them. It's going to make my life really easy, I think. All right, at least that's the plan now. Okay, so again, they look really good. I have an entire lumber rack to fill. Continuing with the lumber is what he calls the modern lumber rack. Couple ideas what I'm going to do with this. One, modern, it's a stretch. I think a lumber rack is a lumber rack. If you paint this to make it look like wood, it is going to fit in any time era. Looks really good. Some nice detail. Even these front have little footings on them. So it's really great. It does stand alone, but I'm not going to obviously have it stand alone on the railroad. I am actually going to break this into two separate lumber racks. One for the side of the main office and then one for the side of the cabinet, the workshop that I have in the back. So that's going to be a lumber rack. With that lumber rack kit here comes some more stacks of lumber. Again, very cool. Different lengths of lumber here, and some plywood. All right. And don't be afraid of that plywood if you're modeling in the 50s. Remember, plywood was coming out in the 50s. That post-war housing boom, led to the invention of plywood, getting away from that plaster. These look really good. They are cut to stack right up on this lumber rack. Really, really nice. And I will have them painted up and different sizes, different lengths. They even have one stack here where the boards are kind of off and, kind of strewn aside, which is very, very cool. The last portion we have here is Sam's Stone. Sam's Stone is basically a stone or aggregate dealer, and it comes with two of these bays, as you can see in the rack here, and one is a 3-bay stone bay, and the other is a 2-bay, and then it comes with a skid steer. Now, the skid steer may be too modern for me. I'll figure that out. But I'm definitely going to paint this up and make it look cool because who doesn't like a skid steer? And hey, maybe nobody will notice, and maybe I'll do something else with it. I don't know, but it's a very cool little skid steer. Again, something like the skid steer, the bucket is not at a scale. The bucket is printed really, really thin and looks as it should look on something like this. All right, so aside from the 2-bay, from the 3-bay and the 2-bay, you get the skid steer, and then you get the office for Sam Stone, which is basically this little corrugate shack. Has some windows in here and has some great detail, some good roof detail, some siding detail. It's got the electrical box and that on the side, so that looks really cool. And inside's a bunch of struts here. And inside of this is a porta potty. And I know we've been talking about adapting this stuff to, my era railroad, and you'd say, you're in the 50s, porta potties. Porta potties were invented in the 40s, actually. In 1940, what they called the chemical toilet was invented, and it is known as the porta potty as we have it today. I will have a place for that on the railroad, most definitely. And I may do, I'm probably going to be a little finishing to this model here. This is very, very cool. The windows have framing, the door has a handle. Again, great detail. It's printed on a lot of struts there, so it's very solid, very cool, very, very cool. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, TMRS coupon, so the Model Railroad Show coupon, 10% off on this video. And let me know what you think of these prints. These prints are, I think, very good quality. Let me know if you've ordered anything from Whistle Stop Hobbies, and let me know if there's anything here that you think that you would need for your railroad. Finally, hey, look for John on Whistle Stop Models at a train show near you. He's in Indiana, so a lot of the Middle America stuff I know that he gets to. I was trying to convince him to come out to Amherst when I was on the phone with him. So maybe he'll make that plunge and hit Amherst. I'd love to meet him. And I think that's about it. So thank you, Whistle Stop Models. Let me know which one you liked best out of these, and hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, give me the thumbs up if you haven't already. Like I said, I'm George. This is the Model Railroad Show, and I'll catch you in the next one.